Hi friends, welcome to the channel. Today we discuss Sebastian Vettel's exciting possible return to Formula One and look at which teams would be ideal partners for him. We analyze his career in detail and speculate on Vettel's chances of competing for the championship title again. Don't forget to subscribe and give us a like if you're interested in Formula One news. There has been increasing talk of Sebastian Vettel's return to motorsport recently, although his return to Formula One seems to have been put on hold for now. One of the main goals of his career was to compete in the legendary 24 Hours of Le Mans endurance race, and now it looks like that dream could become a reality, thanks to the racing world. But the big question remains, could this be the first step to something bigger, like a return to Formula One? Vettel, a four-time world champion, shocked the motorsport community when he announced he was ending his career after the 2022 season, driving for Aston Martin. The decision seemed logical at the time. The team was struggling, and Vettel saw no point in fighting for points with a mid-level car. However, despite the end of his career, he does not exclude the possibility of returning to the races if the right conditions appear. It now seems that Vettel may be considering a new challenge before fully committing to an F1 comeback. One of the most exciting possibilities on the horizon is a seat with Porsche in the 2025 Le Mans race. The German manufacturer has a vacant spot for its LMDH program, and they've openly discussed the chances of Vettel joining the team. Porsche's factory director, Thomas Laudenbach, recently spoke about the future of the Porsche Penske hypercar entry in Le Mans, confirming that there is still one seat up for grabs. As the Le Mans 24 Hours race approaches, the possibility of Vettel driving for Porsche has captured the attention of motorsport fans, and many are wondering if this is the first step toward a potential F1 return. Could the endurance racing experience be part of a broader plan for the German driver to stay sharp and prepare for a bigger challenge in the future? Only time will tell, but for now, it seems like the legendary driver is gearing up for something new. The Porsche Penske hypercar entry for next year's Le Mans race has been generating significant buzz, especially with the news that the team is currently short of one driver. As Porsche's factory director, Thomas Laudenbach, explained, "We are short of one driver. That's mathematically true. We have to think about it. Obviously, when we came up with the decision to join Le Mans in 2025, that's something we are evaluating. But there is no name yet. I'm not ruling Vettel out. Sebastian and Porsche I have a friendly relationship. They talk to each other. I cannot rule it out at the moment, but it's not set." This leaves the door open for Vettel, though no official confirmation has been made yet. While there are no guarantees that Sebastian Vettel will join Porsche for their 2025 Le Mans program, there are some key indications that the 37-year-old driver is keeping himself in racing shape, perhaps hinting at a broader plan for a return to full-time competition. According to sources, life outside of Formula One can get pretty boring for retired drivers, something that Vettel has heard from those who have taken similar paths, like Fernando Alonso, who also moved between different racing categories. If the Le Mans opportunity doesn't materialize, Vettel could very well consider joining the World Endurance Championship, WEC, in the meantime, to stay competitive and sharp. This would keep him in the racing scene in preparation for a potential F1 comeback, especially if a seat opens up. Even though endurance racing is currently his main focus, it's clear that his ultimate goal remains a return to Formula One if the right opportunity arises. There have been whispers that Vettel might have his sights set on a similar comeback to that of his idol, Michael Schumacher, who revitalized Mercedes and helped them win multiple championships alongside Lewis Hamilton. However, despite some initial speculation earlier this year regarding a potential move to Audi, a seat in Formula One doesn't seem likely to open up for him until at least 2026, if at all. Earlier in 2024, Vettel spoke about how difficult his retirement decision was, admitting it was a very tough decision to retire. It still hurts. This reveals that despite stepping away from the sport, the passion for racing is still very much alive within him. Whether this means he will return to Formula One or pursue new challenges in endurance racing, the next few years promise to be an interesting chapter in the career of one of F1's most iconic figures. Sebastian Vettel recently reflected on his retirement, saying that after a year and a half away from racing, he's at peace with his decision.
I think it's better now, after 1.5 years of distance, Vettel shared. But I think I'm very much at peace with it and enjoying my new life. There are lots of things that I miss, and there are also things that I don't miss, so that's always a give and take. Vettel acknowledged how intense the Formula One lifestyle can be, especially with the current race calendar. Formula One these days is very, very intense. You look at the schedule, the number of races. I think it's not just something you feel as a driver. You probably have to be lucky, really, because there are so many other people you meet, mechanics, engineers, and media. Despite the challenges, Vettel said he knew retirement would be a difficult decision. It was a tough call when I made it. I was thinking about coming back, and I knew beforehand that I would be thinking about it. But in the end, nothing has changed. I'm still happy with my decision. Despite the growing influx of young, hungry drivers eager to prove themselves, Vettel emphasized the importance of experience. Obviously, there is a massive influx of young drivers who are keen to show the world that the future is now. But you can't improve a team based purely on raw talent and speed. You need experience from someone who knows how the car should behave and what is missing. That's something that a couple of squads on the grid will be very happy to have at this moment. Looking ahead to the new regulations in 2026, Vettel pointed out the massive challenges teams will face. The era from 2026 onwards will be brand new to everyone. We might see top teams struggling to understand it, especially the ones who aren't particularly known for building reliable engines. The 50-50th division between the electrification and the internal combustion engine is now a massive challenge to balance, making the massive battery power work with the internal combustion engine exactly as planned. Vettel's comments highlight his deep understanding of the sport and its evolution. His perspective on the future of F1, especially the technical challenges ahead, shows that, even in retirement, he's still very much engaged with the sport and keenly aware of the road ahead for both new and experienced drivers. The question of whether Sebastian Vettel would ever return to Formula One has become more intriguing with time. While there have been whispers of him rejoining the sport, especially with new teams and projects emerging, the situation is more complicated than it might seem. Vettel had the opportunity to shape a team during his time with Aston Martin, previously Racing Point, but it wasn't exactly a straightforward process. The dynamic there wasn't ideal for him. While the team was making strides, Vettel's influence was somewhat constrained by internal politics, especially regarding how decisions and input from drivers had to go through various layers of management. This is a significant consideration for a driver of his caliber, someone who wants to have a meaningful impact on car development. That said, Aston Martin has been making moves to become a more competitive force in Formula One. They've attracted top minds from other teams, and with the 2026 regulations coming into play, the team could have a fresh opportunity to take a major step forward. With Fernando Alonso potentially nearing retirement and Lance Stroll unlikely to be dismissed anytime soon, Aston Martin could well be in need of a more experienced driver to help unlock the full potential of the car. This is where a driver like Vettel could come in, providing valuable feedback and contributing to the car's optimal development, just as Nico Hülkenberg did for Audi's project. One of the biggest shifts for Aston Martin is the partnership with Honda, set to kick off in 2026. This collaboration will bring a new wave of resources and potentially a stronger engine package. With this in mind, Aston Martin would be very motivated to bring in someone like Vettel, who has immense experience and insight into the sport, especially considering the team's ambition to make a jump in the pecking order. The idea of Vettel returning to Aston Martin seems like a logical one, but it would put him in an awkward position, especially if the team is pushing for young talent like Mick Schumacher, or even a return to the Vettel-Stroll dynamic. This could complicate matters for a potential reunion, making it less straightforward than it might appear. Interestingly, Flavio Briatore, a figure well known in F1 and a close friend of Vettel, has weighed in on the idea of a comeback. Briatore, who has been involved in F1 for many years and worked with top-tier drivers, has been quite adamant that Vettel should stay retired. He argues that after winning 4 world championships with Red Bull and achieving dominance in the sport, there is little left for Vettel to prove. According to Briatore, a return wouldn't add much to his legacy and might even detract from it. Briatore also noted that while Vettel's time at Ferrari is often seen as a failure due to the lack of a title, especially given how close he came in 2017 and 2018, those years are still a significant part of Vettel's career story. Despite not winning a championship with Ferrari, his battles with Lewis Hamilton and the near misses in those 2 seasons, especially the dramatic 2018 campaign, remain fond memories for fans and a testament to his skill. Briatore suggests that Vettel, like his old rivals Hamilton and Alonso, could remain competitive even as an older driver, proving that age doesn't necessarily hinder success in F1 if the right circumstances align. Ultimately, while the door remains open for a potential return, it seems that Vettel's future in motorsport is a delicate balance between staying retired and being drawn back into the sport. Whether it's a new opportunity with a top team or a more exploratory project like Le Mans, his legacy is secure. But the allure of F1 and the challenge of the upcoming 2026 era could prove too tempting to resist for a driver of his caliber. The next few years will certainly be interesting as we wait to see what direction Vettel takes. The idea of Sebastian Vettel making a return to Formula One is certainly intriguing. While many see him as a retired legend, truth be told, at just 37 years old, Vettel isn't exactly over the hill. In fact, he's still younger than Lewis Hamilton by a few years, and a whole 6 years younger than Fernando Alonso, a fact that makes people think twice when discussing his potential comeback. It's a significant difference, especially when considering the long careers of both Alonso and Hamilton, who continue to perform at a high level well into their 40s. Vettel may not be as young as some of the newer drivers on the grid, but his experience and wealth of knowledge are unparalleled. He's won 4 world championships and achieved 51 Grand Prix victories in a career where the calendar was far less packed than today. This experience alone would give him an edge over many drivers, even if he were a little rusty at first. The biggest challenge for Vettel, however, would likely be adapting to the modern Formula One cars, something that even Hamilton has struggled with at times, as some pundits have criticized him for being too old school to fully get to grips with the more complex, hyper-technical machines of today. And with the cars set to become even more sophisticated in 2026, that challenge would only grow. Given all of this, a return to F1 for Vettel in the immediate future, that is, within the next year or so, seems unlikely. But that doesn't mean it's impossible. Look at Nico Hülkenberg. He sat out for 3 years before finding a seat with Haas, and now he's one of the leading drivers in Audi's new project. And we can't forget the successes of drivers like Alonso and even Raikkonen, who made successful comebacks after stints away from the sport. While some drivers returned with great success, others have struggled. But Vettel is a different breed, and his previous track record is proof of his ability to overcome challenges. So the real question is, does Vettel still have what it takes to be a competitive Formula One driver? The answer might depend on the team he joins. A team with an established development program could really benefit from his experience. If we look at teams that might be smart choices for him, it would likely be one that could provide a competitive car from 2026 onward. As the new era of F1 cars and engines will bring a significant shift, teams like Audi with their focus on long-term success, or even teams like Aston Martin, where Vettel has a history and where there could be a potential gap for an experienced driver, might make sense. Ultimately, while it may take time for Vettel to get back to top form, he's proven time and again that he's not just a winner, but a strategic mind who understands how to push a car to its limits. His potential return to F1 is a captivating storyline to watch, especially with the huge changes on the horizon. So, what do you think? Does Vettel have what it takes to make a successful return to Formula One? And if he does, which team do you think would be the smartest one to bring him on board? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching this video to the end. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the latest news. See you in the next video.